So now we put all our effort into getting these fish. We're out there, we kept them on ice throughout the day. Now it's time to bring them back and flay them up. We have a male king salmon here. You can see he's got a little kype starting on his nose there. Now this is the way I fillet fish. There's a lot of different ways to do it. You could cut through the bones. I prefer to go around the ribs. And I'll kind of explain my reasoning for that. First thing I'm going to do is cut behind the head, slice down along the belly. Then I flip them to the side. And what I do then is I take my knife, I slide it in down to the backbone, and I slide it at an angle in and ride it all the way down. And when I get to here, I'm going to poke the knife all the way through, like that, and ride it down and slice. Now before I take this half off, I'm actually going to flip it over and do the same thing to the other side. And the reasoning for that is if I was to take that side off right away, when I came to do this side, it would be kind of bowed and it would be hard to get a nice straight line on the back cut. It's going to go behind the head here. And I'm just going to have my knife at this angle and I'm going to ride it all the way down. Oops. You don't have to go real deep when you do it. You can more or less use the tip of the knife. And poke it through. Take that tail section off. All right. Once I get here, I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to ride it all the way back up and I'm going to feel for those rib bones as I do it. You're also going to pop through some pin bones as you go in there, but that's fine. You want those to come off. Those are the pin bones you could hear. And now I'm going to slide my knife along these rib bones that are right along here. Just kind of following the contour of the ribs. The fish on Lake Michigan, to help take out some of the heavy metals and contaminants that might be in your fish, they always recommend taking off some of that belly meat that's in there. Don't take it all the way down because it'll kind of collect in the fat inside the belly. So usually slice that off there. All right, and that'll be a one-sided fillet. Then we'll rinse that off with water and bag it up. Now on this one, it was a male. You'll see the milt in there. That's on the male there. Of course, that's be fertilizing the eggs. And then luckily at any major port in Lake Michigan along the coastlines, they have fish cleaning stations because you know, it's a large body to dispose of, and it's always nice to be able to have a place like this to do it. It's actually a grinder. You turn it on, it'll grind that fish right up and then taken care of for you. It's always good to rinse off as much blood as you can off there. Ideally, when you catch a fish, you'll want to bleed it out. I usually dispatch them first and then cut the gills and let them bleed out in the water. You won't have to have as much blood. When you go to clean them like this, you won't have hardly as much blood at all. And the blood is the thing that kind of gives it that fishier, maybe not so desirable flavor, so it's a good thing to do. I didn't do it this time, but I'm going to smoke these up anyway. This one should be a female here. We'll take a look at the eggs in a minute. This one was 22 3/4 pounds. So as I say, this is the female, and this is all the roe that's inside of the female here. And people will use these for fishing. They actually collect the eggs and the skein. The membrane around the eggs is called skein. And they take these out, they can cure them and actually use them to catch fish in the fall. King salmon, everything else that comes in. They'll put them on just a regular bobber, hook, line, sinker, and send them out and they'll come up and eat them. It makes up quite a bit of weight from the fish too. There's two sides in each one. And that's just one side right there. You could actually make caviar out of it if you like. People have done it. I've done it. I didn't care for it that much. All right, then back to the same process. Made to cut. Angle your knife. Try to think of that line that's going just to this side of center and ride that all the way down. Once you get through to the meaty part of the tail, you can push your knife blade through. Now you notice on this fillet compared to the other one, maybe it's a little bit paler. As they start to develop and go more into their spawn, they're self-absorbing themselves, so they take all the meat will actually start to get quite white, and then actually it's got some decent color yet. So once it gets real white, it tends to get soft and mushy too, and then it's usually not so good to eat. But you could probably still smoke it. When you're filleting salmon, about a 7-inch blade, which this is here on a Bubba knife, ideal size, because they are bigger fish, and you kind of use it's nice to have a little heft and weight to the knife to be able to slice through there. If it's too thin, you'll get too much flex in it and you'll kind of start missing meat. If it's too stiff, that doesn't work as good either, but it's a nice little balance on this one here. Now the nice thing about salmon fillets is that there's not a lot of bones to deal with. If you've cut around the rib bones, then all you have to deal with now is a set of pin bones that starts about here and rise their way all the way to the top. You can either flay those out, which is sometimes easier if you just want to cut these into smaller different types of chunks, or you can go through and actually pull those out with the pliers. It's a little time consuming, but I usually leave them in there because they're actually quite large and easy to find and not something that you're going to accidentally swallow. So we talked about the male and the female. The female tends to have a smaller, kind of pointier head, and then males will have generally a larger head, and they'll have that kype that develops, and you'll see these big teeth that'll start to form. Get these big hooks on there for fighting each other. So but the kype is that curled over part right there, and that'll actually get quite developed over time as they start to go through the spawn. Just need to bag these up, and then hey, do you want to film the grinding process?